Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, isn't it?
Could I have your attention, please? Thank you. So the second talk of the day is now about to start. It's about the tiger family. So we've got a couple of king tigers here, Tiger 1, and maybe Lee knows a thing or two about the Jagdtiger as well that he can share with us.
For a little bit in, yeah.
So we're very fortunate to have Lee from the Tank Museum who will be giving the talk. So as I said, we're very fortunate to have Lee from the Tank Museum who will be giving us a little talk about the Tiger 1, King Tiger. If you have any questions, I'm sure Lee will be more than happy to try and answer them.
I'll answer as best as I can. I don't know everything about Tiger 1s and 2s, but I will give you as much as I know. If I don't know, I will be, as I say at the museum, I will be totally honest with you. If I don't know the answer, I won't make anything up. I'll just sit back, go red and say, I don't know.
Fantastic. So please join me in welcoming Lee for this talk. Thank you.
Afternoon, guys. Thank you very much. Well, we're going to start, gentlemen, with the if you just move to the left for me, it's all right. I'm going to stay here because gentleman's got the camera here. So basically, I'm just going to go through a few bits and pieces about Tiger 1, then we get on to Tiger 2. It's just been thrown on me, but I do know a little bit about the Jagdtiger, so we can go into a little bit and give you a little bit about the Jagdtiger too. So really, I know it's a later variant of the Tiger 1 we've got there, up on the table, but Tiger 1 coming to service, late 42, 43, 1,347, that was it. That was all that was made of them. Basically, presented on Hitler's birthday. Now, I'm going to get into this story very, very quick. About Henschel and Porsche, because it's going to come up in a minute when we go on to these two. The Henschel and Porsche thing is basically all the way through the Tiger program. So on his birthday, they presented, we had Henschel design and present, as we know it, the Tiger 1, but also Porsche was involved in coming up with his own design, which was, as we all know, the Tiger P. Now the problem with that one was, it was a petrol over electric drive. Now the biggest problem with that was, quite a few problems really, but one of the main things about it is that a lot of the resources they had at that time were very, very, very short. So they were using a lot of copper, not really the best of things, and the main thing about it is, unfortunately for Porsche, it kept breaking down continuously. And one of the bad designs about it is where they put the fuel tanks. Fuel tanks right over the top of the batteries. Now we're on about the early 30s, late 30s battery technology. Now we've all had batteries get hot, they expand and they explode. Now the problem being is if you've got a hot battery expanding and exploding, sat underneath a nice fuel tank, what have you got? A lovely bomb that goes bang. Fireworks. So, yeah, fireworks, exactly. So they were presented, it failed big time on Hitler's birthday. But the thing was, Porsche was so adamant that he was going to win this because he's one of Hitler's best friends and everything. He went ahead and made 88 chassis. So then one of the chassis, which was the one that they presented, still stayed as a commander tank and went on. The other chassis then, as we all know, got converted into the Elephant and Ferdinand, depending on which side of the battle you're on at the time. So bring us back to the Henschel. So Henschel won. So they won the competition basically to make it. So like I said, 1,347 finally went into production on these. What can I say about it? It's got a legendary name about it, as we already know. Frontal armour on it, 4 inches or 100 mil. Now at that particular time, as the Allies, we had nothing that we could actually penetrate it when it first came out. The KWK-36 gun on the front, that could penetrate over 4 inches of armour at 1,000 metres. Now that is absolutely horrendous. You know, I mean, for our guys that were sat in Shermans and bits and pieces, I mean, basically a Sherman armour was going from anywhere from 63.5 mil to 76 mil armour on the front. Like I said, that goes through 100 mil of armour at 1,000 metres. Just, you know, it was just, you know, obliteration for our guys. We feared about it big time. Problem was, the program didn't really stand still. Hitler was still had in his mind that he wants it bigger and better all the time. Literally, by the time that was just coming off the production line, he'd already gone back to Henschel and Porsche yet again to start having a look at a bigger tank. And that was Tiger 2. Tiger 2 come into because Hitler, like I said, wanted a bigger gun. Basically, he wanted one built around the L-71 gun. It was his idea to get a bigger gun, faster gun, and everything else. Now, this is what we call pre-production. Again, I'm going to go back into this thing about Porsche and Henschel. Everyone turns around and calls this the Porsche turret. And then everyone turns around and calls this the Henschel turret. There is no Porsche and Henschel turret. Basically, what it's down to is the fact of the design. The gun and the turret were built by one company, Krupp. Everything else was just down to the designs. At this particular time, Porsche was known realistically for making transmissions and chassis components. That's what it was, but because he was best friends with Hitler, he kept getting into the program. Again, his original design for Tiger 2 was back again, same as Tiger 1, was to be a petrol-electric drive. He had it in his head that this petrol-electric drive was going to work. But unfortunately, as we all know, it didn't. 50 of these were actually made. Again, they were all designed around having a bigger and better gun. Armortek gun was actually the first one that come up, but basically what happened is Krupp basically copied it, but wanted to make it a little bit. If you actually have a look at the stats, there's not much difference between the actual efficiency of a Armortek or as a Krupp gun. You're looking at a muzzle velocity on this 1,000 meters a second. Very, very good gun. You'll notice that they're not next to each other. Sorry, in the museum I have Tiger 1 behind me and Tiger 2 here, so it's a bit easy for you to see. But what you see is that the gun on Tiger 2 is a lot longer than the one on Tiger 1. Reason being is it's a high velocity gun. Still an 88, but it's a lot high velocity. I was going to have some props, but unfortunately it's Tiger Day today at the museum as well. And they wouldn't let me have the round props because I could show you the difference between the two rounds between Tiger 1 and Tiger 2. Well, basically what you're looking at is they're all 88 rounds, but the thing that's bigger and different is that on the bottom of the brass casing is over twice the size. Now there comes another problem. Another big problem for them is the fact of being is that then I can't change my weapons from Tiger 1 to Tiger 2. Because they're different size brass casing, you can't swap the ammo over. So if you ran out of ammo in Tiger 1 and you had a Tiger 2 next to you, you can't swap over. So very, very big problems there again. Another thing, as you can see, gone a lot bigger, a lot heavier now. So originally Tiger 1 was supposed to be around about 40 tons. As we know, Hitler got involved, it grew fatter, she put on a little bit of weight. She ended up 56 to 63 tons depending on the variant. Tiger 2, again he got involved, he should have just left them alone and let them carry on. Again got involved, you're looking at 69.8 tons was her dry weight. But what you notice, the big difference between them, it doesn't matter if it's a Henschel or a Porsche. Again, his name. Have a look on the front plate. We'll have a look, we've gone sloped plate, whereas on Tiger 1, flat plate. But we have now gone to 180mm front armour plate, 55-degree angle. What's that do? Well, basically what that does is that gives you double the penetration stopping power, but half the weight. Not that she needed any more weight as it was, I mean, you know, she's sort of like got in. But the biggest problem is they haven't changed the transmission. Now in Tiger 1, when she got to her age and everything else, she first came out with the HL210, which was a 21 litre, 60 degrees V12 petrol engine. Now the early ones were all cast aluminium. They had lots of mechanical problems on the top end, leaked fuel for a pastime. So what they did was, when they were designing Tiger 2 and Panther, Maybach went back to the drawing board and built and designed what we now know as the HL230, 23 litre, 60 degree petrol engine. What happened was it gave you around about 700 horsepower. Now that made Tiger 1 very fast, very manoeuvrable for her size. Faster than a Sherman, more manoeuvrable than Sherman, and also gave a lot less pressure on the ground compared to a Sherman. Worked okay with Tiger 1, but when they put it in Tiger 2, all they've done is they've just put extra weight on top of her. Still using the same engine and gearbox. And a lot of the problems with Tiger 2 was she had lots of failures for the final drives. The one that we've actually got in the museum, which is a Henschel Type 1, with the Henschel Type turret on it, is a fact of being that she actually got caught and abandoned, which was good for us because we managed to get one in one piece, is because the guys who actually drove her too hard and actually damaged the final drive on the steering. They should by rule, if any of you guys have ever read the Tiger Feeble, anyone read the Tiger Feeble?
Jawohl.
Jawohl. Tell you, it is worth a good book. We sell it in the museum. It is a good, trying to plug a few bits in. It is actually a good book, Tiger Feeble. So basically, Tiger Feeble is your handbook. You also had a Panther Feeble. If you used a Panther, you'd have it. Now, in that book is the do's and the don'ts of what you can and can't do as a Tiger driver, Tiger commander. Now, one of them is, same as any German equipment of World War II, is not to leave it intact for the Allies to get hold of. So really, Tiger 131, 104 should have been blown to smithereens. Luckily for us, they didn't. So we had a look at it. So basically, we've done quite well out of it. Big difference is between the early production and the late production. First thing you'll notice is the turret. The reason they didn't actually go for that turret in the end was because it cost too much to machine. If you have a look on this bit here, this was one of the most costly parts around here to machine out. The other big thing is they'd heard and learnt a lot of things about shot trapping. Hence how we got our 131. She had a 1 in a million shot, go underneath her main gun, underneath, hit the turret ring, jam it, stuck. They abandoned it. As you can see, open, really, really big and open, easy to get one in. If you have a look at the actual production one, you can see that it is a very, very close fit. Can't get any shot trap down there. And the turret was a lot cheaper and a lot quicker to run. 490 Tiger 2s, that was it. Only 490 Tiger 2s. When you look at what the Allies had, I mean, you know, we had round about 50,000 Shermans, round about 75,000 T-34s. Only 490. It was too late into the war. Her biggest problem was, by this time, Allies had won the air superiority back. They'd had lots of bombings at Henschel & Sons factories. I mean, in one night, they completely lost the whole factory. So production run was slapped, kept getting hit, kept getting hit, kept getting hit. They didn't really have any backups as well. By the time that all this was going on, they're on the retreat. You haven't got time to get a broken down vehicle back again because you've got angry people coming towards you with other tanks trying to shoot and kill you. So it was too late for its own thing. We do know that looking at it from modern logistics wise and everything else, and from using modern ammo, there was a rumour that one of them might have been taken out. We've actually found out that there, if you read through history and everything else, at its time there was nothing that would actually take out the frontal arm on one of these. They do sort of like suppose a sabot round might be able to do it, but actually in there it was always taken out from the sides, or the same as any of the Tiger family, was its back end, which was the weakest point. A little bit about Jagdtiger for you. Jagdtiger, now 92, that's all that was made. Now, I can't really show you any pictures or anything, but there's one over there, over there. Jag 2, 92 made. Really, I don't call this a tank. This is a mobile artillery piece or a tank destroyer. Hitler again got involved in it and wanted to turn around and say, right, I need bigger is better. This whole thing about bigger is better. Now you're looking at around about 70 to 78 ton tank. Again, still using the same chassis from Tiger 2. Same engine, same gearbox, so you can see all the problems that are still there. But we have gone up on armour protection, over 200mm armour protection, at 55-degree angle again.
Wasn't the chassis a little bit bigger on the Jagdtiger than the...
Slightly on the back, but it was still longer. Basically all they've done is stretch the original Tiger 2.
Stretched too far.
Yeah.
Stretched too
you
far.
Were saying.
You okay there?
Yeah.
Cool. Okie dokie. Where was I? Yes. The main gun. We've gone up from an 88. We're now up to 128mm gun. 128mm gun. I mean, we had nothing. Absolutely nothing that we could take any of the rounds that was getting out. I mean, really, when you look at it, it is like a naval gun. If you come to the museum, you can actually see one. We're very lucky. We've got one that was never ever put into battle. It's just purely a test one. That when we won the war was at their test site. You have a look in the back, and the actual, to give you an idea how big it is, the actual recoil system is as big as our 6-pounder gun. that's how to put it into perspective for you. So if you know your tanks and everything, and when you see how big a 6-pounder gun is, that is on its inside as a recoil system. Gives you an idea of how big it was. Not much to know about again on the battle on them because it was a little too late. We do know that a lot of them stayed in around Berlin. There's an awesome bit of footage if you go on to YouTube or anything else, bring it up and you see that they are actually being surrendered to the Americans, and you'll see quite a line. I think it's about 11 or 12 of them, all with their waving their flags and everything else. Right guys, that is my time up. Any questions before I disappear? Thank you guys, appreciate that.